I can't sleep. It's been 2 weeks, and still, nothing helps me. I wanted to like this movie. I really did. From the second I saw the first trailer, I was excited. Mostly because Willem Dafoe was in it. Any therapist will tell you that you eventually have to face your fears. So I guess that's what I'm doing now. Which means it's time to talk. Death Note is a mystery drama film that was produced by Netflix. It's based on a manga or an anime. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't read/watch either. Supposedly, the anime for it is fantastic. Again, I haven't watched it because I don't care. The story goes that we get no introduction to anything right off the bat. It just drops us in to this singular event where a book falls from the sky right next to a kid, and the kid picks it up and takes it, and he just goes. We're not introduced to anybody. We don't know what's going on. We aren't introduced to the setting, the time period, nothing. Basically, this kid, he takes the book for no reason, and then he goes, and he comes across this girl that we saw 2 seconds ago being bullied by this guy who looks like he's 40. Because he's a nice guy, he steps in to try and help her, and she's like, no, I didn't ask for your help. And then he gets his lights punched out, and instead of actually doing anything about it and helping him, literally everyone just leaves him there in the rain, just sleeping. And then he wakes up, and the principal is like, yeah, you're in trouble.
Are we really not going to discuss the fact that I have an ice pack on my face?
The nurse says you'll be fine.
So there's no interest in why a teacher found me sprawled out on the ground?
I'm going to take this hat off. This is annoying. We get some filler. We meet this character's dad, who really, he's in the movie for no reason other than some stuff we'll get to later. That's it. We get some filler with him and his dad. We learn about his mother's death, which is supposed to be our emotional connection to the plot, but nobody cares because we don't know her, we don't know anything about her, we're not given time with the characters relating to her or thinking about her or anything. She's mentioned twice in the movie, and then she's just gone. As we're going through this movie, Light, the main character, gets put in detention, where he decides to just start reading this book that he found. Because he's got nothing else to do, you know, like homework. So he's reading this book, he's reading the rules in it, and then some crazy stuff starts to happen, and he cries like a bitch. And then, we get introduced to the antagonist, kind of the story. His name is Ryuk. He's a demon. And he's played by Willem Dafoe, and he's really good, and we'll get to that later. Light writes the name of the bully from earlier, and then this is where the second problem of the story appears, is that the way this kid dies is completely illogical, because a ladder wouldn't do that to anybody's head, no matter how fast it was flying. Like, maybe he would get a broken neck, but his head wouldn't explode like that. So anyway, fast forward a little bit, we get Light sitting at a desk in his room, and he's like going over what he can do with this book in his head, and so he decides to write the name of this mob boss who killed his mom in a hit and run or something. And this is the second time that his mother is mentioned in the movie, and she's supposed to be the emotional anchor for Light. And yet she's never mentioned again after this, after he kills this dude. So, I mean, I guess that, why even mention her in the first place? Why have this guy in this movie? Was he just there to make more gore? Because, I mean, there are with a book like this, there's plenty of ways you could create gore for this movie, but you know what? It's whatever. Fast forward again, and we have Light reading this ultra-powerful book that can do anything, and he would get in a lot of trouble if anybody found out he had it. He's reading it in gym. I guess he was watching the cheerleaders and he got bored. And then the same cheerleader that turned him in and that was in like the opening shot and whatever, she comes over and she's like, "Hey, what you doing?" And dude's like, "Yeah, this book kills people." And she's like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna go now." And instead of being smart and letting her just leave, Light's like, "No, follow me." And so, in an effort to get laid, he takes this girl and he shows her that what this book can do. Even though he has absolutely no reason to, because he doesn't even know her, he just has a crush on her. He shows the book to her, and then they're like, "Yeah, we can do some real good with this," even though they know nothing about each other. If we fast forward a little bit again after that, we meet L, who is black. That's the only memorable thing about him. This character really has nothing to him. He's a black guy. This L character, he figures out after like 2 seconds that Kira, which is the god that Light and Mia are pretending to be, for no reason at all, just because they needed something to further the plot. L figures out that Kira is in Seattle. He uses some bullshit reasoning about Kira's first kill, although it was unmarked, happened with this dude trying to hold this family hostage, I guess, is how it was. But the thing about this is that we're supposed to believe that the way L came to this conclusion is that he's got evidence collected by the FBI, and there's no reason for this 20-year-old dude who looks like he's right out of high school to have FBI level clearance on anything. So I don't. This black guy has this Japanese dude as his butler. The butler guy's name is Watari, and he's relatively unimportant to the story until about 3/4 of the way through. Fast forward to that 3/4 of the way through, we have, plot developments, filler, it's whatever. We've got Light uses the book to control Watari to go and try and figure out what L's real name is so that he can kill him. Except, why doesn't he just have Watari kill L if he needs L to die? Like, if anybody's gonna do it, Watari is the only person he trusts, so why not? So basically you have, one of the rules of this book is that you have 2 days that you're able to control somebody before they have to die when you write their name in this book.
Every human spends the last moments of his life in the shadow of a death god. If we so desire, we can influence those moments. There are, of course, limitations. Rule 20. A subject can be influenced for no more than 2 days leading up to his death.
2 days. Your fingers are huge.
And Watari, as he's nearing the end of his 2 days when L is controlling him, right at the end, he is speaking a sentence and he's about to reveal L's real name, and then like the second before he says it, he just stops talking. And he turns and looks at the FBI agents that are standing there, and they just shoot him. For no reason. They don't have a reason to shoot him. We're led to believe that they shoot him because, when Light was asked how Watari was supposed to die, he told Ryuk, "Dealer's choice."
You said dealer's choice.
So, we're supposed to believe Ryuk killed him, just to be a dick. As we're approaching the climax of the movie, we find out that Mia stole the book, stole a page out of the book, out of the Death Note, and killed a bunch of FBI agents so that Light wouldn't be found or convicted or whatever. And then she writes his name. She writes Light's name in the book. Because another rule is that you can only remove one name from the book in the entirety of its existence. She wants the name that can be removed to be Light's, so she writes it in there so that he does something for her, or so that he gives her the book instead of just having the page that she does. And then her plan is to take that page and burn it. But the thing is the dynamic between these two characters is that they're supposed to love each other, and yet if she loved him, she wouldn't have put his name in the book in the first place, just in case her plan didn't work. After the climax, you know, there's this chase scene with Elle and Light, and then they go up to the top of a Ferris wheel, and Mia is, because she's stupid, falls off and dies. And Light just lands in the water and is put in a coma for 2 days. And then at the end of the movie, Light's explaining his plan, and it goes through most of the rest of the movie, and it explains it in a way where we're supposed to believe that everything that's happened was part of Light's plan all along.
What's wrong? It was you. All along.
That's the story of the movie. And then it just ends. Well, it ends on a cliffhanger with Elle having the page that Mia had, and he was like tempted to write something down. And then Ryuk gives the last line of the movie, and then it just ends. We don't know what happens. We don't know anything. I don't even know what happened in the movie. So that's cool. The characters in this movie are very interesting. The main one that I have a problem with is Mia, because she's inconsistent as hell.
I love you so much. Now give me my fucking book, okay?
She is, like, for half the movie, she's like, yeah, I love you, Light. You're my soulmate. You're my one. You're my spark. For the other half, or for like a quarter, she's like, she's a sociopath.
Now give me my fucking book, okay?
And then for the last half, she's like, oops. I'm sorrowful now. I feel remorse. She's not really a sociopath.
Now give me my fucking book, okay?
So this character is inconsistent because it's like they couldn't decide what they wanted her to be. And it's not entertaining for her to be. That character ruins almost every scene that she's in, and she's in a lot of scenes in this movie. She's supposed to be one of the main characters. My problem with Ryuk is that while it was an excellent performance and it was believable, it was intimidating, it was very nice, he's barely in the movie. For a lot of this boring ass movie, we could have had so many cool things happen if you just put Ryuk in the story. He's in it for like a total of 5 minutes throughout the entire thing, and that's to intimidate Light in the beginning when he's in detention, talk to him about the rules when he's contemplating killing the dude that killed his mother. He says like a line every 20 minutes, and he's on screen for like 5 seconds each, and then he's in it at the end when you see him swing his arms down to bring the Ferris wheel toppling down. And then he's at the end of the movie, and he gives his line about you humans are so interesting, like that's supposed to mean something.
You humans are so interesting.
These characters aren't interesting. They don't do anything. They're predictable. They're stupid. Light's dad is given nothing to do in this entire movie. It's like, the idea behind his character is that he is the link between Light and his mother, and he's also like the emotional leeway for Light, because at some point in the movie, about a half hour in, Light has to kill his dad if he doesn't want to be caught, except he doesn't kill his dad. Ooh! That idea isn't explored very much. Like, the relationship between Light and his father isn't explored very much, so we are given no reason to care when the prospect of Light killing his father is even introduced, and then we care even less when Light chooses not to do it. Shouldn't have even really been in the movie, unless they were gonna give him something to do. Like, if anything, they could have had him hunting his son, and we could have had more character development and relationship development between him and his son, so that we at least cared about what was going on in his area of the story. But we're not. Shouldn't have even been in the movie. Light's mom should not have been mentioned at all. She should, like, yeah, sure, she should have had one line in, like, an emotional scene between Light and his father. He should have been like, yeah, your mother would have been proud, and that would have been all of the closure we would have needed for that character, if you can even call it a character. We don't know his mom. We have no connection to this lady. We don't care about her. We have no reason to care about her, and therefore we have no reason to care about Light having emotional issues about her, because we really even have, in the beginning, no reason to care about Light, because we're giving no character development with him. We're just thrown into the story right at the beginning while it's happening. He cracks a couple jokes, and then that's it. That's it. L is, at some points in the movie, very well written and very thoroughly explored. He's really the only character that has an arc in this movie.
Federal administration has agreed to make resources available to us. We can begin seeing who was where when.
And what are you gonna do?
I'd like to start by speaking with Coda. Now I clearly explain what would happen if Antony wasn't safely returned to me.
So we have, in the beginning, he's articulate, professional. You kind of like watching when he's on screen because he speaks so smoothly and he uses such language that you kind of feel smarter just listening to him talk. And then about halfway through the movie, when he finds out Watari has been taken by Light to be used to find L's true identity so that Light can kill him, you witness in that 30-second sequence of when he walks into Watari's room to when he figures it out, you witness this sort of emotional breakdown of his. And the guy who plays L, I can't remember his name. I'll throw him on the screen. I'll put him over here. I'll put him right here for you. This is the guy that plays L. He does a very nice job in this area of the movie. And then, from then on, you kind of witness his psychosis just flatlining as he comes to terms with the fact that Watari is not coming back to him because he's probably dead, hunting down Light, and what have you. You get it. You understand. You care about what's going on. The only part about this dude's acting is that one scene in the diner. I'm not a fan of the him trying way too hard to give the impression that he's a genius.
Well, that's not my real name, but I'm sure you're painfully aware of that. Well, you must have known it would implicate you, yet you couldn't bring yourself to do it. I'll admit, I always wondered if you had a line. I guess it's fortunate for us, the line you finally decided to draw points so clearly in your direction. Light. I don't even carry a gun. It's distracting. What I do is bring people to justice.
Like in that scene in the diner, he is not very good. I don't like when he says distracting, like when he does the hand thing. I don't get there's a joke with the candy. Is it a joke? I don't understand. Why do they keep bringing it up? It's like at random points in the movie. Is that a joke? Is that supposed to be something that I laugh at? Is because he's in the cab. He's eating his gummy bears. Ooh, what a haha. He's figured out that Kira is in Seattle and he's surrounded by his little stuff when he's going through his thinking phase. And oh wow, there's candy everywhere. Ha! Whoa! That really tickles my funny bone. What is with the candy? This is actually a really good segue into my next category. Because the dude who plays L, like I said, does a very good job, except for in one scene. I don't like the scene in the diner with Light and L, because I feel like the guy who's playing L is trying way too hard to give the impression that he is a genius. Like, I didn't like the hand thing that he did, because you saw in the way he moved that he put way too much effort into the hand thing. The one where he wiggles his hand as he says it's distracting. But he is very good at being an emotional actor. I appreciate this dude. I hope to see him in more things. At the polar opposite, we have Mia. That girl is not good at being a sociopath. She is not good at it. She's not convincing. She is not intimidating. Do not, directors, casting agents, if you are watching this, do not cast this girl as a sociopath. It won't work. Best example that I can think of is on the scene where she and Light are at the top of the freaking Ferris wheel in the climax. Her idea, and at the dance, where she is supposed to be fully fleshed out, and you finally see who she is, and you witness the sociopathic tendencies of hers. From right there, those two little bits are supposed to be where you see every sociopathic little bit about her. And her idea of showing that off is to spit while she talks, kind of growl a little bit, I think is what that was. Did I hear that right? To curse unnecessarily and kind of just yell.
Now give me my fucking book, okay?
And she can't decide if she wants to be emotional or intimidating, so it kind of doesn't come across well on the screen. I mean, at least she tried to do her job. I wouldn't say she was great at it. She tried though, because in the scenes where she was supposed to cry, she could actually cry. Unlike a lot of actors and actresses that I know of.
Comes from the undertow, she comes from the undertow. And every second I take is another mistake to you. Call me the undertow, she's called the undertow.
the dude who played Light, a fine actor. I'm not gonna say he's good, I'm not gonna say he's great, but he's not bad. He's not bad at all. He's fine. He's not good at pretending to be scared. Like, in the scene where he meets Ryuk, the screaming is too over the top, comes out of nowhere. He's not, nope, not good at acting, not good at acting scared. That scene was unintentionally funny, and I didn't like that. I did not like that. But at everything else, he's fine. He's a good actor. I hope to see him in more things. I'm supposed to talk about Ryuk, but in my notes, the only thing I have written about him is Daddy Defoe. Well, I guess he was fine. I really liked him. Willem Dafoe is an excellent actor. It's a shame that his talents were wasted on this movie when he was barely in it! So, this is the portion of the video where I talk about everything else about this movie. What I didn't like about this movie, disregarding actors, characters, etc. Everything else I didn't like about this movie. There's not a lot. I don't really have an argument to make up for why this is a bad movie. But there are a couple of things that I did not like. The first thing is that the dialogue was very cheesy. Whoever wrote this movie doesn't know how human beings function in certain situations. So we ended up with some cheesy stuff. Like, for example, the scene in the diner with Light and Elle. Elle pretending to be a genius was not written very well. The dialogue for him was not very good. I mean, in the trailer, there was a line that stuck out to me that was very different between the movie and the trailer. Or, the movie and the trailer. See, in the movie, we have this.
You're the one who flew into the sun. I'm just here to make sure you actually burn.
And then in the trailer, we have this.
You're the one who flew into the sun. I'm just here to make sure you burn.
Now, in my opinion, the trailer version sounds much better. That is how it should have been given in the film, and they should have put it in a context where it sounded at least a little bit like what it did in the trailer. But put it in the context that it was actually in the movie, and the way it was delivered, it was very cheesy. Didn't like it. And there are plenty of other situations like that throughout the film.
Can I kiss you?
Cheesy dialogue. Could have probably bettered this film by a point. Another issue that I have with this movie is that there are some scenes that felt very, very campy. Is that since it is based on an anime, there are scenes in this movie where it felt like the actors were literally trying to be anime characters, as if they were like anime tropes in real life.
Okay. Relax, Light. You're asleep. You're asleep and you're dreaming of some 8-foot-tall, demon-looking motherfucker.
Best example I can think of, Light screaming. The fact that it's out of nowhere. It just kind of happens. Like, he's looking, and then scream. No, do not act. If this is going to be a real-life movie, do not have your actors act like cartoon characters. That is what made scenes like that so unintentionally funny. Another problem that I had is that Willem Dafoe wasn't in this movie a lot. He wasn't in it enough, or barely at all. Like I said, he was in this movie for probably a total of 5 minutes, and that's not okay, especially since he was, like, the reveal in the trailer, like, that was in the trailer, that was the thing that everybody was waiting for, was Willem Dafoe being friggin' Ryuk, and then we got it, and it was so underwhelming. They underutilized Willem Dafoe and Ryuk so much. There are so many things that they could have done with Ryuk in this movie that would have made it so much better than what we actually got. Hope you know what you're doing. So anyway, yep, that's my complaint about Ryuk, is that he wasn't in the movie enough. And then we have the subcategory, or arguably part 5, weeaboos! I hate these people. I hate people that criticize a movie for not sticking to the source material. Did you really? I understand wanting this movie to pay respect to the thing that it's based on, considering the anime or whatever is so critically acclaimed, but did you really want to walk into this movie and know exactly what was going to happen? Yeah, I could see an argument being made for it shouldn't have been based in Seattle, but everything else, who cares? Let the freaking Adam Wingard, the director, Weingard, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Let him have some creative differences with the original. Who gives a shit? Sure, I can see being frustrated that your favorite character was replaced with something that probably isn't even them. But these characters, they were written to be their own thing. Like, there are multiple stories that can take place with this material, so why don't we make it happen? Oh, that's right, because if we do that, people are gonna get upset. So here's an idea, why don't we just throw the names of the characters from the anime onto the characters from this from the movie, and we'll say, hey, it's that. I would have much rather had this movie be just a completely different story. Like, sure, the Death Note anime, probably great. Like I said, haven't watched it. I don't care. This movie shouldn't have just been a retelling of that anime, because then it would be, it wouldn't have even made sense to be a thing. It shouldn't have been a movie if that's what they were going to do. I am glad that this dude took the time to write out a completely different story to try and make things interesting and expand on the universe a bit. But no, if he had actually tried to do that, can you imagine how many more death threats that he would have gotten?
Comes from the undertow, she comes from the undertow. And every second I take is another mistake to you. I'm going to the undertow, she's going to the undertow.
Overall, I would probably, I'd give this movie a 6. An argument could be made for 7. I'm sticking with a 6 because there are definitely a lot of things that could have improved it, but it was nowhere near as bad as a 4. Like, come on. A 4 is... It only has a 4 because these freaking anime nerds sit here with their real-life Death Note cuddled up in, like, this L-themed sweatshirt or whatever with a Ryuk doll. They sat in front of this movie and they were hoping it would be exactly like the anime, and then they watched it and it wasn't, and they were disappointed because that was the only thing that was going to give them happiness that day. And I'm taking this joke a little too far. It's not a bad movie. It is not a great movie. It's a fine movie. I would recommend watching it at least once, maybe twice. But nowhere, it is not an awful movie. The directing was fine, the sound design was fine, color was fine, the visual effects were actually really good. I liked them. I liked the bit with the Ferris wheel. That looked fantastic. Might even make that a wallpaper because it looks so cool. But it's, you know, it's not bad. Like I said, dialogue could have been better, acting could have been better. Probably would have made this movie way better. But it's not terrible. It's definitely not anything less than a 6. It's definitely not anything more than a 7. Let's just leave it at that. Maybe now that I've done this review of this movie that nobody's cared about for 2 weeks, I can get some sleep and not want to die. Oh boy, sleep sounds good right now.